Episode 5, Empire Hour. It's been a while. We're trying to roll these out a little bit more, but I am joined by a legendary person today, Stephen Pelkofer. And we have a cool journey of just like becoming just like friends overall. I mean,
For
like,
sure.
from the grand opening party to the Instagram direct message, like, hey man, we just moved here. Can we come through to the party? I was like, yeah, and I had absolutely no idea who the hell you were. But it's been formed into a great bond, a great you know, great friendship, great working relationship now too. So, Stephen, why don't you give a little bit of an introduction about yourself, like
Yeah,
just like your background and yeah. So
sure. Yeah. So I'm Stephen Pelkofer, just moved here to the Raleigh area from Wisconsin. So we've been here, my wife and I, Rachel, have been here like 10 months now, which is going pretty quick.
that's crazy.
I
Yeah,
know. And
yeah.
honestly, like, you were like pretty early as far as like people we met
Yeah,
in the area. 'Cause I think that must have been like January when we moved
yeah,
here. But yeah, born and raised in Wisconsin. Spent the first 30 years of my life there. Little detour up in northern Michigan for like 9 months to play college basketball. But yeah, I have always been sort of a very dedicated athlete my whole life. Played college basketball for 4 years.
yeah.
Trained really hard all the time,
Mm-hmm.
basically from age like 7 on.
Yeah,
And you know, after basketballs, started playing in men's league
yeah,
basketball, volleyball, training really hard still, but never like competing in anything
yeah.
besides just those leagues. And yeah, now compete in Hyrox a little bit, obviously, as an athlete, and then I coach a lot of athletes in Hyrox.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been great to kind of these last couple of years just like get really back into something that
Yeah.
I'm passionate about.
Absolutely.
And now like coaching at Empire has just been amazing too. Like being involved in a community is like you can relate to when you're on like a college team or high school team, competing, trying to get better at, with a group of people, like it's just so rewarding.
Yeah.
And that is, it's different coaching and kind of being a part of a gym community like Empire, but there's some similarities that are just
Yeah.
like really
Sure.
light me up. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's really cool to hear that journey. I think one of the coolest things, and obviously like we'll dive deeper in everything. I think it's cool that because like I feel like you don't really see a lot of former basketball players in like the Hyrox world.
Yeah.
Like you're and I'm trying to figure out a way to word this. Like usually basketball players like at least in my opinion, like yes they're strong, but like they're not very like muscular. Like you like I wouldn't think that you were like a basketball player like if I were to meet you for the first time. What's up, Dylan? But like yeah, I don't see a lot of former basketball players going to Hyrox. So like how did you like discover Hyrox? Like just kind
Yeah.
of go into that a little bit.
I know it is interesting. Like I think I'm realizing maybe a little later in my life that I probably should have been an endurance athlete based on just like genetics and kind of like how I'm adapting to certain training. But I think the other thing is like it's like basketball is like a 60-minute event,
Yeah.
and playing weekends where you have 5-6 games in a
Yeah.
weekend, and just like the training for it is a lot of like,
It's a lot of
it
endurance.
probably enabled a lot of my,
Yeah.
kind of like endurance gains over the years and just training really hard stuff. But like, yeah, I personally, I think it is like a good transition.
Yeah,
If you're like a college basketball guard that is really in shape, can
Yeah.
do well in an event like this. So yeah, I think it is a good combination, like a bit of aerobic endurance and aerobic capacity. Like, I'm a little more fast twitch than probably a lot of guys out there.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's unique, but I think like it doesn't mean there aren't other college basketball guards
No, of
that
course.
just haven't like found
Yeah.
Hyrox.
No, of course. No, yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean, kid could throw down a poster. I love it. All right, so let's go back a little bit. So, college basketball in northern Michigan. That's
Yep.
that's that's deep. That's deep up there. You're deep up
very-
in you're deep up in
very
the
north.
lakes. Yeah, deep up in the lakes. What other sports did you play growing up? How did you find basketball as your passion? I mean, obviously taller? What are you, 6'5", 6'6"?
No,
6'4", 6'4"?
6'2", 6'2".
You're only 6'2"? There's no way you're only 6'2".
I swear.
I feel like you tower over me. Maybe I was
6'2"?
getting shorter, but
Yeah.
all right, yeah, go into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, played basketball my entire life. I have 3 older siblings that all played basketball. 2 of them played in college for a little bit, and then I played football in like middle school, and then kind of like gave it up to focus on basketball, which sounds crazy at that age, but like people were specializing more back then.
Had a passion for something, I chase it.
Yeah, and like as I was on like the best AAU team in the state, like playing with the best players, like it just made sense to go all in on basketball. And then my junior and senior year, I decided to go out for football because we had a very good quarterback who we were just talking about, and he was a really good basketball player, but he had kind of like started specializing in football just because he was going to go on and be a Division I quarterback. But I ended up playing my last 2 years football as well, and it was like a blast. Like,
I love
had really good individual success, but also just like getting back out there. Like I wish I would have just played all 4 years, but ultimately the passion was basketball, and like I was always going to go on to play in college for that and not football. So was still totally all in on basketball, and like at that age, basically only cared about getting a scholarship. As I'm sure like you can kind of relate to, it's just like you're so.
It's the only thing you're focused on.
Yeah, tunnel vision. But I went on to play at Northern Michigan for a year, and then ended up transferring to a school in Wisconsin, Stevens Point.
It's funny because like school for us is like off to the side. When you're an athlete like that, you're like, yeah, school's whatever. But I want to play basketball. I want to play baseball in college.
I know.
And you're like, okay, but what about after college? You're like, okay, shit. I actually have to pay attention to school a little bit.
Wait, I'm actually not going to then.
Yeah, exactly. But by the way, we have to get a height measurement on you. There's no way you're only 6'2". But anyway, talk about, so one thing that I think is really, really cool, and we'll obviously get into a lot of stuff here, but one thing I think is really cool that you're on a very similar entrepreneurial journey that I was on, where, you know, like I wasn't necessarily unhappy at my job, but I knew I wanted more. I knew I wanted to do things my own way. You were a data scientist.
Yeah.
And one day you were just like, hey, Sammy, fuck it. I think I'm just going to go all in. And, you know, we had really good conversations. So why don't you go into like how big like being a hybrid athlete has gotten for you to the point where you were able to actually leave your job and, you know, kind of get back to others?
Yeah. So I, you know, after playing college basketball for 4 years, like honestly career kind of became like my competitive passion, just like make more money, get promotions, go work for these bigger companies, better companies, and which was honestly like great for a little bit and kind of like kept me going. But at a certain point, I just sort of realized like, you know, it's just like never that satisfying. Even when you start to make more money, you get these promotions, and you know, the lifestyle of sort of working in corporate tech just became so many meetings and, you know, working long hours. And it's not like it was crazy stressful, but it was just like, this is not really making me happy anymore. And towards the last 18 months of working in it, like started competing in Hyrox and doing really well individually, was coaching a few people on the side, mainly just like people I knew or had like met at races and stuff. But, you know, kind of always knew like, man, I'm so new to running, like my ceiling is just so far away still, even being, you know, the age I am and finding this like kind of late. It's still like pretty early in the Hyrox game. So, you know, that having this successful career in data science, I would say like enabled me to kind of take a little bit of a risk here and go pursue this, you know, athlete and coach career and entrepreneurship journey where like, you know, if I didn't have that career, maybe I wouldn't be able to pursue this, you know, because my thing was like always.
Can always go back to it.
Yeah, can always go back, but also, you know, I've kind of had some like side hustles in the past, I would say, but for me, it's just like I needed to like go all in on it for it to work long term, and I don't think you know, like other people will have like different journeys to like quitting their job and pursuing their dream, and like some people build it up first.
Yeah.
And I kind of realized over time like that was never going to be the path for me, and that I had to just go like totally all in on it, like take a risk, trust myself that I'm smart enough and work hard enough to like get it done. And so yeah, it's been like not even 6 months yet, I guess. And you know, as we talk about like all the time, like things are headed in the right direction. Like there are tough days and challenges, but like it, you know, it's been great, and I'm like way happier than I was 6 months ago.
That's the most important thing, is when you wake up every day and it never feels like work, right? Like
Yeah.
Like I remember that conversation we had over the phone, and you're like, you know, I really want to do this, but how do I go about it, this and that, and like I know I went into a lot of detail as far as what I did, but I think your journey is also a lot different in a way where, like, you know, obviously I was just doing like basic online coaching, right? You have an opportunity to not only turn yourself into a very elite athlete, which you've done, but like you're gonna have a very big audience of people that are gonna, you know, look up to you doing that, and like now you're getting calls about, hey, like we want you to work for this brand, like this brand. So kind of talk about what the last like few months have been for you since going all in. Like, what have you been able to learn? What have you been able to achieve? I mean, obviously you got, first form and everything on your back now, which is awesome. And yeah, you know, just kind of go into that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think like I would say there was like this honeymoon period of like 6 to 8 weeks after I left my job where it's like, wow, this is awesome. Like I just have all the free time in the world.
And then you're like, fuck, I gotta work.
And then the paycheck stops coming in, and then you're
like, oh shit.
Like, you know, you really got to just get it into gear. And that's, you know, I started coaching on Empire right away, obviously, which just helped, you know, not just like get exposure to potential clients, but also just like, hey, we just moved to Raleigh. Like, we need to meet people that have like shared interests and stuff. But yeah, I think like
It's been a great part of the community. It's been awesome to watch.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, just like kind of like my thing is just like daily deposits. Like just keep doing this. Like keep having these tasks that you do every single week, and eventually like zoom out far enough, and like you can see the growth happening. And yeah, like there were some periods in the first 3-4 months that were like, man, I don't know if I can like grow this that much, or like I got to start like doing things differently. And we had a conversation.
Call me on the way back from Charleston. You're like, dude, I'm kind of freaking out. I was like, it's okay. You're gonna have a lot of days where you freak out.
Yeah, I know.
I freak out every day still.
Yeah,
so it's like
I know. I was a little soft that day.
No, you weren't soft at all. No. I was very glad that you called me though, instead of just, you know, I won't say spiral, but you know, just like throwing in the towel, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and yeah, these last, I would say like since then, you know, these last 2-3 months, like I have had just like some bigger wins happen, whether it's just like getting swarmed with new client requests. Like that's obviously great for making money, but also like, you know, getting some brands that want to work with me and like sponsor some travels, you know, races, things like that. That just like really matters when you're, you know, you're kind of doing this athlete and coach lifestyle. And then my training partner, obviously Dylan, who's in here as well. But
shout out the hybrid record.
You know, like having the opportunity to race with him coming up is huge for me, and like he knows that. And you know, we've built a great relationship here. I had no idea he lived in Raleigh when we decided to move here, but I'm sure glad he does. Yeah. And so, you know, that is great exposure for me. You know, getting to train with someone who elevates you. And now we'll be racing together a couple times this fall. And yeah, just like again, these steady things just kind of keep happening if you just keep putting in the work.
Yeah.
Everything's not going to go perfect, but like, you know, I kind of had to remind myself, like, hey, all this stuff is happening. Like, it's barely even Hyrox season yet. So, like, now that we're kind of in the thick of it, like racing and stuff, I'm like, yeah, this is like, you know, it could really, I could be overwhelmed pretty soon. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's awesome. It was funny. I remember there was one day I asked you, I was like, well, why haven't you raced with Dylan yet? And you're like, well, he hasn't asked me. And I always asked you, and y'all are absolutely freaking killing it, man. And
yeah.
Like the stuff that y'all do is absolutely incredible. I want to hear this from your perspective because I have a very enlightened perspective on it, I think the Raleigh fitness community is absolutely growing like an insane amount. And I think, you know, obviously like Empire, you know, it has a lot to do with that, but like, what's it been like for you to join a community that I mean, I don't know if you like expected to join like when you got down here, but like what has it been like for you to
Yeah.
like be a part of Empire and like watch like the growth of it in
Yeah.
terms of like how popular it's gotten in terms of like Hyrox and obviously like it is a very like heavy strength training gym, but I think a lot of people have really taken on like just like the athlete role as a whole. So
Yeah, totally. I think I was not expecting to like be so involved, I would say, in the Raleigh fitness community this early on. I think like we came from Madison, Wisconsin, which is smaller than Raleigh. Honestly, like is a pretty like fit community, but I just wasn't like this wasn't my life back then. But going to run clubs here, going to Empire, like meeting you early on. There's a lot of like crossover between these groups, obviously, and then I need to be out there in those communities anyways, because like this is fitness is and Hyrox is kind of what I'm doing long term. But like, man, I did not expect to be like coaching at a group fitness gym and having hundreds of members that know my name and are asking for advice on training in Hyrox. And like, yeah, I mean, honestly, it is just like pretty special. And I think it's been cool to see like you and our members just like really embrace Hyrox, right? Because like they, no one.
never thought I'd be a Hyroxer when I first heard about it, and I was like, it seems cool, but no, I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
and it's a fun way. Obviously, someone like myself and like Dylan at a totally different level are like trying to compete and get podiums and
Trying to shave off
make
seconds
the
off your
Elite
time.
15, trying to shave off seconds like that. There's that piece, but there's also like it's really inspiring to see people from Empire that have never raced before and are just like so dialed in to like, hey, we're going to Hyrox Dallas and
I
like
love it.
we're gonna do the best we can. Like we're gonna train really hard for it. And like that is honestly like just as inspiring as what I'm doing, as a full-time athlete and coach. So it's been amazing, and like I really could not have like dreamt that it would be like this just 10 months into moving here.
No, of course, and no, that's what I was gonna say. Like it's been fun to watch like your first year in Raleigh just absolutely like take off.
Yeah.
I know you and Rachel were probably on the couch one day like, holy shit, like we're moving to Raleigh, like what are we gonna expect? And I think it's
sure.
turned out really well for you so far.
Yeah.
In terms of like actually racing, right?
Yeah.
How hard has it been for you to get from like what was your first race time? Like
107.
107.
Yeah.
Now you're doing 59 minutes.
Hopefully
What's
faster
been
next weekend.
Yeah, it will be faster. You better fucking be faster. You will be faster, 100%. What's been the hardest part in terms of like getting to this point, and what's the most important thing when it comes to training that like you just really have to get better at?
Yeah, I think like the first one is just like extremely difficult to nail. Like basically, no matter how fit you are. Like I think it's just there are a lot of different components of the race. Like if you don't have racing experience, for the best athletes in the world, it's a 55-minute race. Like that's pretty long. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. So I think getting that first race out of the way, 67 was my time, but maybe I was fit enough to do like a 65:30 or 66, and maybe I could have had a horrible day and gone, 5 minutes slower than that. But I think like running has sort of enabled everything else for me, like just becoming a better runner, becoming more aerobically fit, I think is pretty much like the biggest bang for your buck that anyone that's not in that sort of like elite tier should just focus on. Now there are exceptions for sure, but I think it's just like, half of the race is running and then there are 8 different modalities. It can be really challenging to get better at all of those things at once. I think that was like early on a lot of my misses in training is just like trying to spread myself too thin across different things instead of just like really focusing blocks on, like periodization and like really focusing on these things that are going to get me time everywhere else. So I think that's been, training is just, it's a constant like stress, recovery, adapt, and change the stress, you're going to adapt differently. And so it's just like picking those different spots, where can I gain time? And now it's to a point where it's like, okay, how do I take off 50 seconds to a minute?
Yeah.
Where can I do that? So it's a lot of fun. Like I would say it's a lot different than competing in team sports, like you're used to, and I'm used to all my life. But it's cool because it's like you're in control of everything. Is what is different about this individualistic sport. So yeah, I think it's a constant battle. I don't claim to know everything and anything. Like I'm constantly learning on ways I can be better, how I can be better for my one-on-one clients, what sort of works for them based on like what kind of athlete they are, what their training history is. Like there's just so many variables in play, which is hard, but that also makes it fun because it's just this big like puzzle that you're trying to figure out.
Absolutely. I remember there was one day where like you were at Empire because like obviously like the videos that you post of you training, right? Mostly running, rowing, skiing, right? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I remember asking you, I was like, hey, like, do you ever do like a bicep curl? Like, do you ever actually lift? And you're like, yeah, I actually do. And but like then you kind of told me like what your style of lifting is in terms of like the muscular endurance stuff. And I know we gotta wrap things up here in a couple minutes, but talk to me about what your style of endurance training is when it comes to actually lifting. I mean, you were telling me there's times where you do like 3 straight minutes of goblet squats, and I'm like, fuck, that sounds miserable.
Yeah.
So yeah, go into that a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely like Hyrox is not a figured out sport. Like there's no like credible research on it yet, and there won't be for years. It just takes time to get that kind of stuff. But like, if you look at the overall race, it's just so many reps. It's so much volume. And I think it's funny when people go into these races and expect to crush like the lunges, for example.
It's the worst.
But like they've never done 100 lunges in a workout before, and they expect to do well on it, 50 to 75 minutes into the race. It's like, well, you haven't trained your body to adapt to this, so how do you expect
wake up
to do
call
well?
coming your way.
Yeah, I think like training muscular endurance is super important for Hyrox, and I think it's often like overlooked by like beginners, and they think like, well, I can get really strong and I can be really fast, like then I can be good at Hyrox, and that's really not the case, right? Like it certainly helps to get stronger, but it's much more about like what is your capacity to do 100 lunges. That doesn't mean you have to do 3 by 100 in the gym, but you should probably be doing workouts where you do accumulate over 100 lunges in a workout, or wall balls, or whatever it might be, sled, push, pull. So I've tried to really dial that in as like a long-term progression of like, I'm just gonna keep improving my local muscular endurance in these muscle groups that matter. And I think that is more important once you sort of meet the minimum strength requirements of the event.
I think it's an incredible way of looking at it because like a lot of people tend to just go by reps, right? It's like, okay, I'm gonna do like 3 sets of 15 for goblet squats, but it's like, okay, you're still only getting 45 reps.
Right.
But if you do
and
like
rest within.
But if you do like 5 minutes of lunges, okay, you might be getting actually like like upwards of 100 reps. I think it's an awesome like way to look at it for sure. I think it's like I have personally like learned a lot from you in terms of just what we can implement and stuff like that. But no, that's awesome, man. If you were to give a person one piece of advice that wants to get into Hyrox but can be intimidated by it, because it can be intimidating. It 100% can be intimidating. I mean, I get a lot of people just asking me that don't even really have a lot of experience, like when it comes to fitness. Oh, like I want to do a Hyrox. Well, I'm like, okay, like yes, anybody can do it, but maybe get a couple of actual like sessions in before you decide. So yeah, like if you had any advice to give to someone that wants to get into it, what would it be?
I think like a couple different things. Like from a pure training perspective, like run more. Safely build up your run volume to get in more miles. Like that is likely going to help your performance. But the other thing I would say is like, this is more of a mindset thing, is nobody cares that much about your Hyrox time.
No one
right?
cares.
Like people care about Dylan Scott's time. Maybe they care a little bit about my time, but only for like a very short while, right? And it's like,
I care about Dylan's time every day, but it's okay.
the point is like people aren't thinking about you that much as you're thinking about you. Yeah. And I think like I tell people in class this all the time is like, hey, like you don't need to compare yourself to others in here, and you don't like I really don't care what you're running on the treadmill or what you're doing on the skier. Like I just want you to come work hard. I'm gonna try and motivate you. I'm gonna give you really good programming to get you better, but like all I want you to focus on is just getting better over 6-week blocks, 12-week blocks, 18-week blocks. So that's what I try and just like get people in the mindset of. And the other thing is like Hyrox in general, it's just a really cool event. Like, yeah, it is, even if it means nothing, you still get nervous in the start tunnel.
Your blood is pumping through.
Yeah, and
I was so hyped up for the first one.
And that's,
as you know, my 4-minute first laps.
But they make it a good experience for everyone. At least they try to. And like there will be people out there watching the last person finish every night. Yeah. And so I think just, recognizing it's not that serious, but also like taking your individual growth more serious than like comparing to other times or whatever. It's just like, yeah, it's like a privilege to be out there, and it's extremely rewarding. If you finish in 55 minutes, like the best in the world, or you finish in 2 hours, like it's still really great that you got it done. And maybe the next time you finish in 1 hour and 50, it's like, wow, look, I got, 10% better or whatever it is. And so I think that's where it's like switching the mindset. Yeah, on the training side, like run more, get in more volume, stay available, recover well, like that, all of that needs to happen for long-term progression. But like, just focus on getting a little bit better every day, a little bit better each week, a little bit better each month. And like, that's, I think, what is really rewarding and what I'd say people should focus on.
Yeah, and it's all going to add up too.
Yeah.
So it's been fun to watch your athlete journey. It's been fun to watch your entrepreneurial journey. I mean, I literally like threw a mic on you one day. I was like, all right, here you go. Like, what do you got? And you nailed it right away. So
yeah,
it's been awesome to have you on staff, man. It's been awesome to have you as a friend. It's been awesome to, watch your journey from the outside, and, just, thankful that I passed across. So.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you popping on.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely. A lot more of these to come. So
yeah.
Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Episode 5.